Title: The Tinkerer Crow, ****. In a world where machines and nature had blended into a seamless harmony, there was a crow unlike any other. His name was Gear, and he was as much machine as he was bird. In the city he called home, where the trees were part metal and the rivers flowed with glowing streams of energy. Gear had earned a reputation for his unique talents. Perched high on a rusted branch, his feathers shimmered with hues of purple and teal. But what truly set him apart were the intricate mechanisms embedded into his very body. Gear had always been different. While other crows scavenged for scraps of food, he scavenged for something else: parts. Nuts, bolts, screws, and gears fascinated him. The moment he found an old, discarded wrench or a forgotten bolt in an alley, his curiosity took over. Piece by piece, he began building, incorporating the found objects into his own form. Over time, his body became a fusion of feathers and finely tuned machines. A marvel that other crows could hardly understand. With every mechanical addition, Gear became more precise, more efficient, and more ingenious. His sharp beak worked like a wrench, tightening bolts and adjusting his mechanisms, while his claws, enhanced with metallic joints, allowed him to grip objects with pinpoint accuracy. But there was more to Gear than just his technical prowess. He had a mind for creation, for fixing things that others thought broken. And in a world that was half nature, half machine, that was a valuable skill. One day, as he was perched on his usual branch, tinkering with a broken clock gear he'd found near a scrapyard, a group of city birds flew by, laughing at him. "Look at him, always with his little toys," one of the pigeons mocked. "You should be out flying with the rest of us, Gear, not messing with scraps." Another crow chimed in, but Gear, with his usual calm, simply glanced at them with a knowing eye. He wasn't hurt by their words. In fact, he felt a sense of pride. They couldn't see the beauty in his work, the elegance in the way he had blended two worlds into one. Later that evening, as the city lights flickered on and the hum of machinery filled the air, something went wrong. A large power outage swept through the city, plunging entire blocks into darkness. The streets became chaotic, machines stopped working, and panic set in. The city, so dependent on its fusion of technology, had no idea what to do. But Gear knew. With a flick of his wings, he soared through the air, the mechanisms in his body humming softly as they powered his flight. He had seen this happen before, a failure in the city's main power grid. He flew straight to the towering building where the problem lay, slipping into its inner workings through a small vent. Inside, gears and wires sparked, creating a labyrinth of broken machinery. But this was where Gear thrived. His enhanced claws gripped a nearby wire, while his beak expertly reconnected the gears that had fallen out of place. With each adjustment, the city's power slowly flickered back to life. The lights on the streets below glowed once more, and the hum of machines returned. When Gear emerged, the city was back to its bustling self. But this time, there was no laughter or mockery. The same birds who had ridiculed him now looked at him with awe and gratitude. They realized that Gear wasn't just playing with toys, he was the reason the city ran smoothly, the reason they all could continue their daily lives. And so, perched on his branch, Gear looked out over the city he loved. He had built himself into something beautiful and powerful, a bridge between the organic and the mechanical. And in doing so, he had found his place. Not just as a crow, but as a creator, a tinkerer, and the protector of his city. Title: The Crow of Steel, ****. In the heart of a sprawling city, amidst the towering skyscrapers and the constant hum of traffic, lived a crow named Steel. Unlike the other crows, who were content with pecking at leftovers and soaring over parks, Steel had a fierce pride. He wasn't just any crow, he was the crow of the city. His feathers gleamed in the sunlight, dark as midnight, with an iridescent sheen that caught the eye of anyone who looked up. His sharp eyes missed nothing, and his wings beat with a grace that was almost regal. Steel wasn't humble, and he didn't try to be. He knew he was beautiful, strong, and clever. He strutted along the steel beams of construction sites, looking down on the people below with a knowing smirk. "They're so busy, so unaware," he would think to himself, "and they'll never saw the skies like I do." He claimed every rooftop as his own. The high-rise buildings were his kingdom, and the neon lights below were like stars in his urban sky. Other birds gave him respect or kept their distance. Even the pigeons, with their vast numbers, knew better than to cross him. But despite Steel's attitude, deep down, he wasn't all hardness and pride. On certain days, when the air was heavy and thick with rain, he would sit on a ledge and watch the city move below him. The people with their umbrellas, hurrying to avoid the storm. The cars splashing through puddles. The noise, the rush, the never-ending cycle of life. He felt something stir in his chest then. Something almost like sadness. But no, it wasn't sadness. Steel was too strong to cry, too proud to feel that. He puffed out his chest and turned his beak toward the horizon. He wasn't like the others, he couldn't allow himself to be. There was a time when a young crow from the outskirts came into the city, lost and confused, looking for food. He was scrawny, with tattered feathers, and Steel could tell that the poor thing had never lived through the tough streets. Other birds would have chased him away, laughed at his weakness. But Steel did something unexpected. He landed beside the young crow and stared at him with those sharp, intelligent eyes. "You think you can survive here?" he asked with a hint of mockery. The younger crow cowered. I just needed some food. I'm sorry." Steel could have laughed, but instead, he nodded toward a ledge where crumbs and bits of food had fallen. "Take what you need. But remember this city is no place for the weak. If you want to make it here, you've got to fly higher, be smarter, and never back down." The young crow looked at Steel with wide eyes. Grateful yet cautious, he nodded and flew to gather the food. As he did, Steel turned away, his wings catching the wind as he took flight once more. He wasn't soft. No, Steel would never let himself be soft. He was Steel, after all, strong, beautiful, and untouchable. The city might roar below him, but he soared above it, too big to cry, too proud to fall. And though his pride never let him show it, Steel knew that in his own way, he had a heart, one that beat not with weakness, but with the resilience and beauty that came from surviving in a world that never gave second chances. He was a crow of steel, and that, more than anything, was his true pride.